Back to many channels like that, and I'm very happy to be back. That's a new extension, totally brand new extension that I want to talk to you. I've been working for the better part of the second half of last year, and we launched only 2 weeks ago. It's called 4Analytics, and it's it's an analytics extension. No guess here. I am going to share my screen right now. That's always the tricky part. Entire screen, and that should be this one. Okay, is that good? Do you see my screen?
I'm still seeing you.
Yeah, that's my head, but that's my screen. So
right.
Enter picture. Okay, now you should see my screen.
Yes, we can see.
Okay, excellent. You see the 4Analytics page on Weeblrs. So I'll just say a few words before I switch to showing you how it works. The key point. Why did I want to develop? How did I came up with this idea of developing analytics tools? Because everybody is using Google Analytics or Mattermost, and there are a bunch of others now. The thing is, I realized that there was, like 6 months ago, there was no Joomla native analytics extension that was private out of the box. That does not exist. And I was in a situation where I needed something like that, and so because I needed it, I made it essentially. We can discuss later about the other existing analytics extension, but as far as I know, there's none of it is private. None of them is private. So that's what I did. So the first focus for analytics was for it to be private by design and have no way of being not private. And the second thing, and the second idea for it was to be able to provide something that was at the same time simple but powerful. The problem with things like Google Analytics and probably Mattermost and some others is that it's really easy to get, to drown in numbers and to drown in, you got nice graphics and everything, but you easily can get lost into all of that. So, and at the same time, some people want a lot of data about what's happening on their side. So I wanted to find a kind of a way to do both, and I hope I have done that. I have also to say before we switch that this is version 2.0, which I released this morning. So it's still kind of early, and there are more things coming in the next month. But that's where I'm at right now. And by the way, I'm not sure Mark Deshaver is around, but I want to thank him because he was the one who helped me test on his websites, or maybe his customers' websites as well, for analytics, which allowed me to have something that's at version 1.0 was really already kind of bulletproof and working very well, tested on large sites and small sites all the same. So this is the 4Analytics product page. I want to, if you're into reading and looking at documentation, if you go to the documentation page, the 4Analytics documentation page, you'll see there are 2 pages that I want to mention. There's a private a privacy statement. This is a statement by me about why 4Analytics is like it is and what it does for you and what are the consequences for you. And the second thing that goes together essentially for the geeks is how it works. So there's a whole page on how this works, what data it stores, where it stores it. There's a key point about, I didn't mention that, but there's also the speed. Google Analytics and others have the tendency to load very large JavaScript files, which are slow, big, and coming from other websites. So you don't have anything like that with 4Analytics. It's a 1.9 kilobytes script, and it's embedded into your pages anyway. So yeah, there's what we do with cookies, and the thing we do is the things we do with cookies, we don't use them at all. And then there's a detail of the process of identifying visitors and how the whole thing works. So the big line is that 4Analytics does not record any personal information, and it does not use any cookie at all. And the consequence of that is that you don't need any cookie consent extension. You don't need any cookie consent banner on your website. The only thing you need to do is a mention in your privacy policy. I hope you all have a privacy policy page. And you need to mention that you're using a privacy-focused extension or system to measure traffic on your website for a purpose. On the, I don't remember which page it is. I think it's privacy here. I'm not sure about that. There's a sample of a sample text for that. Yeah, no, it's not here. It's somewhere. There's a sample text you can use in your privacy policy for that. Okay, so let's get started. And this is a Joomla extension. So I have here a standard Joomla 5.3 site. I'm just going to show you how to install it and how to do the initial configuration. Hopefully it will work, and hopefully it will demonstrate how easy it is. So I'm going to go to the installation page using 4command, which is another extension that I use a lot. You install it. You go to the main component page, and there's a configuration, initial configuration wizard, which comes because 4Analytics comes with a default configuration. And if you click this button, enable default configuration, it will, from this point on, right after the installation, you are tracking visits on your website already. So that's all there is to do. And with this default configuration, you are tracking all pages on the site, and exclude only for guest users. That is, everybody who is logged in is not counted in that. That's a default configuration that you can enable with just one click like that. So you continue to 4Analytics, and you've got the main dashboard here where we have reporting and we have plenty of things like that. I'm going to switch to another website to show you how it's working. So this is just the installation, and it's essentially the only thing you have to do to get a working environment here. There is no script to copy paste into your template or your index.php file. There is no other configuration. Obviously, there is no account or tracking ID to be obtained from Google Analytics or a Mattermost instance or anything else. And it's all happening on your website, and it's all happening transparently. So I have this other website here, which is j522.weeblr.us. I'm giving you the URL because it might be useful later. And on this, on this website, I have some sample data because it's more convenient to show how it's working. So when somebody has started tracking pages, the traffic on your website right after the analysis, and if you have a little bit of history, you see this. You got reports here. You got summary report, which is the main one here. You got reports on your visitors, sources, and your content. And there is a bit of configuration, and I'm going to start with that very quickly because I don't want to overwhelm you with that. But here is the summary page, and with just one view, you can have the number of views, visits, your visitors, number of visitors, and something that's I'm going to move myself away because I'm hiding it, and then the engagement of the visitors on your website for this particular period of time. So you navigate the period of time, the period you are showing here. You've got the current period, which is defined by this selector. You can view data by day, by week, by month, or by year. This is by default, it's going to be showing you the week. And this is last week by default. and then you simply navigate to the previous week or the next week and so on. You can go back. I have sample data here until right down to November 23. And so it's kind of easy to navigate that way. This is common to all reports, so I'll go very quickly later. All these reports have two levels. Simple is default, and that's where most people are going to be happy with. There's a detailed level where you get, well, a bunch more information, such as average visit duration, how many pages search engines have viewed on the site during that period, how many errors happened, like 404, 500, that sort of errors, and how many bounces there was. When there is a graph, let me go back to the previous week, so I have a full set of data. These graphs here are configurable. This is memorized. You can show different things depending on what you want to see: visitors, visits, views, whether the people are engaged or not, and so on, errors, bounces. You select that as you see fit. You can view by the month, or you can view a full year. On 2025, there's not much data, but I can see here 2023. So maybe something you noticed, I hope you noticed it, it's pretty quick. So I can switch from to viewing, current week or week 3 months ago rather quickly, and I can navigate through month to month, let's say, rather quickly. This is because 4Analytics aggregate all the data by month and by week and by day and by year and store that separately. So there's not much work to do. It's all pre-calculated all the time. And that allows very fast navigation. So this is the basic reports, global view. Then you got reports on your visitors. I'm going to switch to simple so that it's easier to see. Likewise, you got the graph. So I'm looking at a full month now. So I have a per day value for the average duration, visit duration, average views per visit, and whether they engage or not. You got these numbers here. You obviously have a comparison with the month prior. I'm looking at the month. So this value here, 6 minutes and 18 seconds is 4% lower than the previous one. And then you got more details like which language. This is fake data. So in that case, there is only English language, and it was all coming from, from here, from France, where I am. So, but you can navigate, and you have like a heat map that shows you how many people were visiting from which country here. And you got the same information here because the map is a bit fancy, but it's not that useful. So you got this information as well as a table here. Okay, so you got more detail if you go to the detail page. I'm not going through that, but all of that. But one thing worth mentioning is that you can count guests versus logged in users here. You get a count of that, and you got the usual suspects of whether how many pages were viewed from mobile, desktop, tablet, views by browsers, each browser's type, screen resolutions, and the system, the operating system your visitors were using. So the usual data. Now sources. Sources means where are people coming from? And here, and that's going to change soon. There'll be one more category, but 4Analytics tells you or breaks down your visitors in 5 categories. Search engines. So people, it's not your visitors, sorry. It's where your visitors are coming from. And so you got the people coming from search engines. They clicked a result in a search engine. They click a result in a search engine at Google or Bing or something else from other websites. I don't have that in my sample data here. They directly came to your site, meaning they typed the URL or they clicked a link, but we don't know where they came from. They came from a social network, or they came from an AI assistant. So they were in ChatGPT or in Claude, and they clicked a link, and that's identified. And very soon, in the next few days, I'll also separate visitors from ads. If they click, whether people there who came clicking from an ad. Then you got the list of websites and new traffic, like search engines. Then you have a breakdown of whether it's Google, Bing, and so on. Other websites and new traffic, the breakdown of it, the social networks, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. And then the detailed list of pages sending you traffic, specific list within a given website. So you got a pretty good idea of who is where the people are coming from. And then the last item is about your content. How is the content of your website used and viewed by visitors? So I show you here because I find it an interesting metric. How many content items were used to across all these visits that happened in May 2024, for instance. 20 articles, 20 items, can be products, go-to-marts, can be e-shop products, can be anything else. How many items were used? The interesting thing is the variation, most likely. Then here you got which content real visitors saw, humans. So you got a list of pages, how many sorted by the most commonly viewed. The most viewed page is here. The pages where visitors arrive, and the pages where they leave your website. And then you got about the same thing, but I'm not sure that's very often seen, but I found that very interesting. It's the pages that search engines and other bots are viewing. So here you got a breakdown of the which pages search engines have been favoring and are coming back and viewing more often. Same thing by AI bots. And one thing I learned, to my surprise, when I did this and I started using it on real websites, is it's incredible how many AI bots are visiting your website. Like at some point, Mark, you can confirm that there were like 30% or more of the traffic was coming from AI bots. A lot of it is, in my case, a lot of it is from Amazon, from Claude, but they really are loading lots of pages from many websites. And likewise from the pages seen by social bots scraping your content, most likely. So this is about what you get when you're viewing results on the admin dashboard. I just want to mention that 4Analytics has 2 access levels, so you can be the admin who can configure everything. There's also a Joomla access level, which is just for viewing reports. But that leads us to who can view this information. And there's here, I'm going to skip over the tracking rules because it's a bit complicated. You got a bunch of way to configure how things are measured. You can decide what's considered a proper visit. For instance, by default, only people staying 5 seconds or more on a page are going to be considered, a real visitor and a real page view. You can change all of that. And okay, for our purpose tonight, we don't want to go too deep into that. I just want to focus on reporting because I forgot that, but I'll just show that later. There's the live view here, but I'll get back to that. But one thing I consider a very good feature is the ability to send reports by email. So if you enter here in these 3 boxes, you've got 3 boxes: daily, weekly, and monthly reports. And you enter here and you type 1 or more email addresses. Well, these email addresses are going to receive every day, every week, or every month a summary email with the main numbers on what's been happening on the last day or the last week or the last month. With a link, they can click to access the full report online. So the interesting thing here is that these emails, these email addresses don't have to be Joomla users. They don't even have to have an account. Let me show you how it works. I hope there's, yeah. So I have a message from the Joomla user group London, but that's okay. I have these 3 samples here. And this is what you'll receive if you're subscribed to the daily report. So we've got that small email, that's email here for Monday, January 27, and it tells you how many views were there, and the chain, the variation since the day before, how many visits, how many visitors, whether they engaged with your pages or not, average visit duration. This is a bit funky type number here. How many errors, how many bounces. And then you got 2 buttons to view the simple version of this report, or you can view the detailed version of this report. So if I click here, I'm going to see the full data for this day. And I can print that as a PDF if I want. It's formatted for PDF. It should not break anything. The pages are. It's nicely formatted for that. So the key thing here is that it's not. You don't need an account, and this is. You don't need to log in to view all of that. There's a password encrypted into the link, and anybody with the link can view these reports. Have the same thing for the week here and the same thing for the month here. So it means you can easily have the people developing the website and managing the website day to day receive daily reports or more frequent reports, but you can also send a weekly summary to management or marketing, whoever doesn't need to get into or you don't want them into the admin of Joomla, but you still want them to be informed of what's happening. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show, I think that's pretty much it, and then we can maybe get into question, is the recent addition of the live view. So I have like a few like website visitors here. I have a few of them here, and well, I find that useful to have the live viewing. You can go yourself and open the site in a browser, and it should appear here. So viewing the live site is really real time. You're seeing people as they are traveling through your website, and if you click here on the details page button, then you'll see exactly where they are. So if I am doing this, for instance, I am on the that must be this one. I'm going back to articles. Yeah, you see that changing, and it works pretty well. I have another one here, which is on I believe the homepage, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to go to the blog, and it's appearing here. And if the visitor closes the browser, then it disappears really quickly. So it appears to be a bit of a gimmick, but in fact I found that quite useful to be able to track what people are doing and which pages they are going to in real time when you are doing things real time as well. I've been using this to see what people were doing when I sent an email newsletter, for instance. In the following minutes after I send these emails, I can see where they're going, where they're not going, where I would like, which links they are clicking. So there is a benefit actually to this live usage and live display. Yeah, it's not me clicking around, so I know some of you are on the site right now. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for me.
That's amazing.
And we can go into more details if you want. Just very quickly, I think I was rather quick. So I just want to mention.
We've got plenty of time left, so there are quite a few questions. But if you want to finish them in first, then we can do the questions.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to just show you that the actual configuration is quite powerful. It's based on rules. So normally you don't have to look at that because, as you see, I have a default rule. That's the one we enabled when we installed 4Analytics. But if you click on it, that's the rule that decides what's going to be tracked, and you can have several of them. And you decide when that rule is running, on which pages it will apply. So this one, for instance, is applying on all pages. And you can set rules on this particular rule. I want to measure things for this particular categories or for these users. If I go to these users, for instance, that's where I'm using, I'm telling 4Analytics to only measure guest users. I can also very easily, I hope it's going to be working, I can also very easily exclude my IP address, for instance, something you would usually do. So you click on this button, and it knows what your IP address is, and it automatically included it. I don't want to do that because I want to be able to, have impacts the measurements. And then here you can say you have a few options. Currently, there's not that many, but it's coming to decide, for instance, whether you want to include visitors with or without JavaScript in the measurements. I advise it's off by default, and I advise you leave it off. And also something that I was forced to do, but now that it's there, it's a good thing. You can also have an actual tracking code, and you can put it, embed that into another website that's a non-Joomla website. Some of you may have part of your websites that are rendered by just HTML files, or like you mentioned Docusaurus, for instance, like a documentation website that's done with something else. Well, you can track everything together with 4Analytics by including this snippet here, which you can copy, and you can put it in your other non-Joomla website, and the measurement is going to be grouped with your Joomla website. So you have only one single item being measured. Okay, that's it for me. I'm going to try and switch back, stop sharing if I can find stop sharing.
Yep, we're back to you. That is really, really cool. You've already got quite a few sales by the looks of it from the comments.
That's great.
But let's go through them in order.
Okay.
Olivier. So, Owen was first. Please subscribe, Gary, blah, blah, blah. What are you measuring to tell if they are engaged or not? And I think you've already covered that with the 5 seconds and things like that.
Yeah. So the 5 seconds is not the 5 seconds is not really about engagement. The 5 seconds is something to decide, okay, if they don't stay at least 5 seconds on the page, I'm just not going to record anything. It's just a robot or something. And you can, again, it's configurable. You can you don't have to use that. So engagement is the following. For a visitor to be considered engaged, they have to either click a link, type something on their keyboard in an input field, or they have to scroll down the page 50%. 50% is configurable. You can select. You can choose 50. I don't know. There are a few like 25, 50, 75, and 100, something like that. This is something that's done in the configuration. So this is the engagements. They have to interact with the page. And I believe that's something that's really, well, it depends on the site. Not everybody cares about that, but I believe it's something really important for many websites to measure whether the people are not just viewing your pages, your content.
Do you mean another menu link, or does it have to be embedded in the page?
No, it's a link. Any link. Yeah, any link, really. Any link. It doesn't matter.
Then the next question is from Owen as well. How does it track referrers? Sometimes they can't be found, right? We often see social media is not accurately tracked in Google Analytics.
Okay, so there are 2 questions here. So the referrer, you have no choice. You have to rely on what's called the referrer field. So when somebody comes to your site and makes a request to your server, and there is a referrer field, and in that request, and it tells you where the site is coming. So It used to be great and very accurate, but there's very often this information is missing. So my experience and what I've learned in doing that is, in most cases, the referrer is as a referring information, we only have the website. So in most cases, the actual URL, the specific page is missing. We are coming from. So we have that, and that's the only thing we can base our data on. And I would say generally it will work very fine. Now, the second part of the question is, I have found that social network, people coming social networks, we don't measure that so well in Google Analytics. So we haven't mentioned that, but there's a big problem. One of the issues with Google Analytics, again, is connected to cookies, is that more and more people are using ad blockers and just cookie blockers as well. And this is all around the world, because we are making it up like it's a lot about the European Union and the GDPR, but that's around the world, especially cookie blockers and ad blockers. And so what's happening is that if somebody has a cookie or ad blocker extension, Google Analytics is actually entirely blocked, which means if somebody is coming from a social network, for instance, you're not going to know. You're not going to know anything. Or rather, Google Analytics is not going to know anything about it, because it's not going to see that visit, because the cookies are blocked. The third-party cookies are blocked, and Google Analytics cookies specifically are blocked. So that's why, and it can, depending on the fields, your area of business, what you're into, it can be as much as 50%. If you're if you're in the IT business, if your customers, the people visiting your websites are geeks, then you're pretty sure that like half of them have ads blockers and cookie blockers extensions. So you're seeing half the traffic, which leads to a remark here, is that if you install 4Analytics and you start comparing to Google Analytics, you're going to see numbers which are very different.
Yes,
they can be higher, they can be lower, and there are reasons for that, but they're going to be different.
Yeah.
And one big reason for that is that the contrary to popular belief, the Google Analytics numbers are not good. Like, they are not accurate at all, and they definitely cannot be considered a reference.
Now, I used to have a client who, Last Word Media, who's a big London media firm, and they had to do everything with Google Analytics. That was their kind of level playing field. But when we looked at the server stats, it was about 1/10 of what the server stats were. And the server stats themselves would have not been 100%, because you can have proxying in servers and everything. And then the more we dug into it, the more we realized that Google Analytics is a sample, and then they admitted it's a sample. And we did about 3 years ago, have another analytics solution, which wasn't for Joomla, but was when Google Analytics 4 was just coming out, and so Universal Analytics was talking about people moving from. And this was one of those that said they sampled everything. So you got actual results and it was a privacy one, and they didn't store the data, but you had to put it onto your own, onto another server, and you were in charge of it. It was reasonably expensive. So we did actually feature that. And I think there might have been a magazine article about it. But delving into that, I learned so much about the fact that Google Analytics is more looking at trends than empirical figures.
Mm-hmm. That's okay. So there's what Philip is referring to is the fact that Google is sampling data. So if you have, I don't know, if you have 1,000, well, not 1,000, but if you have like a million visitors on your website today, then they're not going to be measuring every single of them. They're going to take a sample of that, and all the data, like which browser they are using and where they are coming from and which language they speak, is going to be extrapolated from a sample of these 1 million users. I would say, though, that if you have, like Weeblrs.com, if you have 300 visitors per day or 500 visitors per day, is probably not as as much of a problem as it appears to be. In the case of Google Analytics, the biggest problem is ad blockers and cookie blockers extensions, definitely. And even the browsers, actually, some browsers, you don't even need an extension. Some browsers actually block these cookies by default. So when Google cookies is blocked, they don't see anything. And when it's not the script, the JavaScript. So it's...
and misconfigured JavaScript, and people still leaving the old-fashioned tag at the bottom and things like that. That can cause issues. And in the early days of Google, I remember Joe and I managed to, it was by accident at first, we realized that if you added the code twice, you got really good figures.
Yeah.
We were so pleased with one of our sites, and then we realized it was really
okay. So maybe, and it's worth a remark here that in the case of 4Analytics, you're probably, and that's why I mentioned it, you're probably going to have bad figures. So you're going to be lower. One big thing I try to do with 4Analytics is focus on and that's why if you remember, there's the words that are used on the top in the summary view is human views. So I try to really extract real people. So I'm using internally the Mattermost device detector library, which has data on several thousands bots and possible sources of traffic to be able to identify these. I do a little bit more myself because I have, with SH4 for SEF and then for SEO and all that, I have also some data and some abilities to identify people. So separating real humans from bots traffic is a key point, and I'm pretty sure we're doing that better than common solutions like like Google Analytics specifically, and so the actual. And also, I show them separately, like the main number that you see here. This number summary, the main one here, it's really viewed by humans, and there's really a real small number of bots that I was not able to identify in that number.
Can we see all the traffic though? Do you actually allow to see all traffic?
Sorry, I missed the start of that.
Do you allow to see all traffic, bots included?
No.
Okay.
Very simply, the traffic is broken down, visitors, but there's no cumulative value for that. Like you see, sorry. Yeah, no, it's the detail.
I'd just be curious on some sites to see the difference.
No, sources, sorry. Yeah. So you see the sources, but I don't. To me, there's no point. If your need for analytics is about how many pages were served by your server, then you go to your server logs. You mentioned comparing Google Analytics numbers and your servers, and you had a lot more page views on your server. That's normal because your server is counting everything. It's counting every single bot, and there are so many of them that it can be easily half of your traffic can be from bots. So your server is counting all of that. That's also why the hits number in Joomla admin, if you have an article and you see it's been seen, 100 times today, that doesn't mean much, because in this number, it's really the number of pages rendered by Joomla. So I can tell you that at least half of it is from bots. And that's one of the reasons why, for instance, we only count by default. You can enable it, but by default, I only count visitors with JavaScript enabled. That weeds out really a lot of bots that are not sophisticated enough to use JavaScript to scrape your pages.
Interesting. We've got a couple more questions. So Dorothy, I think it's been answered. She says, I was just going to ask that one, tracking visitors from ads, but I think you've talked about that. Then Owen comes back with, do you attribute using the Google URL creator Do you use events like Google, for example, form completion or registration?
I'm not sure I understand fully the question,
No, I'm
but
not.
uh, let's
Owen,
see.
do you wanna...
So,
Is the
you know,
chat? Can I read it or
No, Owen's just about to say.
well,
okay?
you can read it as well if you want. But on Google, you can use your URL creator, and it just adds queries on the end, so you can
Oh yeah,
know.
you mean the campaign?
Yes,
The UTM parameters. So
yeah,
it's not done yet. The fields are in the database and it's all ready for that, but it's just not done yet. It's probably going to be in version 3. There's we can say a word about what's coming, but the two things that are coming are campaign tracking, like you said, and like I said, and events like measuring, getting an idea how many pages, how many click you had on that download report button or on this thank you page or whatever. That's that sort of thing. So
can
yeah,
you do what about like form completion or something like that?
well, it's one of these. It's going to be it's an event. Form completion is
Yeah, so
either you measure the number of pages or you have you add an event on the send button.
just like a
And that's,
JavaScript event, same as Google, then, right?
sorry.
A JavaScript event, the same as Google.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, if it's not JavaScript, the only way you can measure is having like a thank you page or something you go to after the form has been submitted. There's no, if you don't do it in JavaScript, it has to be a
Yeah,
specific page.
better for JavaScript for like e-commerce or events purchase or something like that.
It has to be JavaScript. It's not a problem. And like I said, anyway, by default, at least, 4Analytics doesn't measure pages without JavaScript. So if you don't have JavaScript, you don't exist. But it's really, I mean, you can enable JavaScript tracking of non-JavaScript users for a little while if you want and see how many you have. But it's really just real people without JavaScript. That does not happen. That does not happen.
I may as well ask you the next question because I asked that as well. Are you planning on adding heat maps in the future?
No. Heat map is well, it's super complicated if you do it well, and it can take a lot of data. So remember, we are storing everything on your Joomla server, so you need to be careful about that. And there's no way to do that and be GDPR compliant or let's say private. So my take on that is if you want to do that, then you get clarity. If you have a specific need to measure something for a given period of time, you want to analyze user behavior, you get clarity. It's better than anything that a Joomla extension is going to be. It's free, and you just put it in, run it for a few days, and that's it. You are supposed to have during that time a cookie consent extension, but other than that, no, I have no plan to spending time on that. That's not analytics, and you have to remember there's this simple aspect of things because the Google Analytics and Mattermost and a few others, they give you a huge kind of quantity of data, lots of numbers everywhere. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I have been using Google Analytics for years on my websites, and at the end of the day, maybe two years ago, I removed it, and I didn't see the difference because I was not looking at it because it's just too much. And the only thing that would matter, except on really specific occasions, was how many pages and how many visitors and how does it trend and how that. But that's it. So no, I don't want to get into heat map.
Good. We've got another one from Heather. Super. It's with geography. Does it drill down to city and region level or just country?
No, at this moment, I made a choice to just be very generic and go only to the country. It helps also with the privacy because if you drill down too much, then you sort of encroach on the privacy thing. But probably I will make something a bit more specific in the future.
I think it would be useful for those that are using ads to know down to probably.
Yeah, no, I mean, if
regional.
all your customers are in, most sites actually have visitors within a single country. So if your visitors are from the UK and I tell you your visitors are from the UK, it's not very useful information, I guess. So it will come, but I didn't feel like it was a priority. There are a few things I want to do before that.
Yeah, and the classic one for us in the UK, people will go, well, it's only a small country anyway.
Right.
But obviously, if it's Wales, then they speak Welsh. So
Yeah.
actually, if you
Yeah.
have a good Welsh following, it might be worth putting Welsh pages on there. So things like that can make a difference.
But that you would know, because I don't report on the country, but on the language, yes, I do.
No. But they will probably not necessary. You might be serving in English, and they might be only viewing in English because you haven't got a Welsh one.
I know that, but that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that 4Analytics is telling you which language is set in their browser.
Oh yes, that's true.
So it's not about the page they are looking at. It's what language they have set their browsers to. So if you are in Switzerland and you have people speaking French, German, or Dutch, then or probably Italian as well, but all your pages are in English, then you'll know they'll be seeing English, but it's not the language of the page; it's the language of the browser. So you know which language your visitors are speaking.
That's true. That's very good. Yeah.
Already taken care.
Also, what else have we got down here? Emmanuel saying about no cookies. He says, if there are no cookies, can you track users non-logged in from page to page to, in the future, being able to display what users are doing on your site from page to page?
I don't really plan on doing that. Like tracking people, like their it's called like a funnel. It's like following them as they travel through your website. I don't really plan on getting into that. So no, that's not really a goal. I think it would go much further than what I want to, the kind of tool I want to provide here.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, you're actually showing exit pages, which is really useful. So
yeah, so there are things that you can do and you can do easily, and they are useful. And then if there's a next step, then you can go back to something else if you want. But I believe most people would be actually put off by too many things like that, and you need to focus on things that are important. I'm looking. If there is no cookie, can you track users non-logged in from page to page in the future?
That's what we just did.
Yeah, that's it. What users are doing on your site from page to page.
There's also about Inhumans, and that's correct.
Yeah.
Emmanuel says, what is the penalty time-wise for a 10,000 unique visitors a day site?
Okay, so no, there's no. Actually, it's just the opposite. It's 4Analytics was designed to be super fast and light. You won't see anything. First, it's not the most important thing, but on Google Page Speed, like when testing, you won't see any difference because the JavaScript is embedded in the page, so there's no script to load from anywhere. And even the measurement is and the data processing is done in a way you remember I mentioned. So I measure and store something in the database. But I do it when the page closes. And so there's plenty of time for the server to write this down. 10,000 unique visitors a day is not going to be a problem. I mean, there's the speed penalty on the server is going to be nothing, because all the aggregation, all the computer-intensive data processing, if you will, is done incrementally. Like every few minutes, I update the aggregate tables, like the daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly database table. So it's done in small chunks, and it's spread out all along the day. And as time goes by, all the data is updated. So there's there's a really it's going to be really not a problem. And in terms of speed penalty, it's obviously a very important point these days to not slow down things.
That's really great. It's really great. And then we've got Joomla. You mentioned. Oh, hang on. Someone keeps moving it.
Okay, the next question. Yeah.
Storage stats.
Yeah.
Value aggregation. Do you foresee any issue in running 4Analytics over years, not months?
Okay. So no, that's not the right one. That's the right one. Let me switch to.
I did have a site years ago which did use an analytics system on a site that I had, which had 1 million visitors a month, and we did run into issues after a month. After a year. So we used to have to take out some of the tables and everything, but it wasn't particularly well written.
So what's happening is that you, in the configuration here, I hope it's clear enough.
Oh yes, that's
you
great.
have a data retention policy area, and that's where you see the two types of data that 4Analytics is storing. The raw data is each individual page view information, and there is a table with just one row. There is no multiple tables. That's one of the reasons also why it's kind of fast. There's just one table, and each page view has a row in that table, and you decide how long you want to keep this information. So if you have millions of visitors per month, probably you're going to be telling for analytics to delete the data after 3 months or so. But the aggregate data here, you can keep much longer because there is essentially just one line per period. So the daily information for the website is just one line in the database in the daily information table in the database. So all the daily aggregate data for a full year is just 365 rows in a database. So it's like nothing. It's a few, I don't know, 100 kilobytes or 200 kilobytes. The big thing is the raw data, and you decide how long you want to keep it. And funny enough, I had somebody ask me something like that to me just earlier today, and so I made some what we call back of the envelope calculation earlier, and they were having 200,000 page views per month roughly, and the calculation I made based on the sites I have, I came up with a number which is roughly, it's going to be using the raw data, the entire set actually, everything is going to be using about 90 megabytes of data per month.
That's fine.
The whole thing. So it's kind of okay, and then you don't have to keep it as long, forever. I think if you're getting 200,000 visitors per month or pages per month or millions, that's you probably already have a server system that can handle that sort of thing. It's not going to be major.
Mm. We got Mike asking a question about pricing. You have it at $69 a year for 1 year support plus updates up to 3 sites and unlimited installations. For the unlimited installations, won't I be able to update those? Actually, it'll be easier. Do you have your pricing page? Can you show us what your pricing is so everybody can see?
Sure. Yeah.
Just talk us through that.
Right here. This is at the end of the private page. Yeah. There you go. So, well, here, let me remove that.
We're still seeing you.
Yeah, because I didn't switch. I didn't press the button.
Go.
Yeah, and they are seeing too much of me. So.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah. So you got all our extensions works the same. There's a simple regular, if you will, subscription, which is at a given price, and it lets you get the support and updates up to 3 sites. And the Pro version is 1 year support and updates and unlimited sites. Of course, like all GPL licensed extension or software, you can take the zip file and install it on wherever you are. That's no problem. When I'm speaking about updates, it's the one-click updates through Joomla, because this goes to our server and you need to download the update from the server. So that's what you get access to, and that's what I mean by limited to 3 sites or limited to unlimited sites. Essentially, this is for this one. 3 sites really means when you're having your own, it's an individual who is having their own website.
Yeah.
And when you're running your own website, you have the main site, and you have a staging, and you have a local copy on your computer and whatever. So that's more or less 3 sites. And then if you're a pro and you're making maybe, or you have multiple websites, or you create websites for others, then you take the unlimited sites, and that's it. And that way you can you enter an update key, and you can update with a single click, or with My Sites Guru or Watchful or things like that. It works automatically. This is the kind of updates I'm talking about. But like I said, every single extension for Joomla, you're not limited on installations. You can install them on as many websites, because they are as you want, because they are GPL license. So you can do whatever you want with it.
That's great. That's brilliant. That's a really good.
Yes, there's a discount for renewing. If you renew before the end of before your subscription expires, there's a 20% discount. And yeah, I mentioned that in other places, but you have to take advantage of that discount, because I never do any discount other than that. So don't come asking for a discount at any time, because I don't do discounts.
See, now I do all of my buying around Black Friday, because so many people did so many discounts.
Yeah, but
it actually was profitable to do that. So yeah.
Nope, there's no bundles either.
Do you have any bundles of all your software?
Sorry?
Do you have any bundles?
No. But no, it's the same, for the same reason I don't do discount, because if you get 2 extensions for me, I don't do discount because I don't do marketing. So if you do discounts, then you have to increase the price to compensate. And what I prefer to do is have the lowest price I can do for everybody all year round. So that's it. And so bundles is the same. If you get 2 extensions for me, for Ceph and for SEO and for analytics, you get 2, but that doesn't change the work for me, or the amount of time I spent on development or on supporting you or working on them, really. So I just make the lowest price I can do to be sustainable.
I think it's very good pricing.
Yeah.
So I think Gary's got a last one about, can you store stuff on another database?
Okay. That's funny, because I had that question 3 times already, today and yesterday. So no, you don't. It's not meant for that. Can you expand on how useful that would be, or is it you who asked the question today on support?
Gary?
No, I didn't ask anything on support.
Okay.
I was simply asking whether there might be an option to use an alternative database to store the long-term statistics rather than using the main Joomla database.
Okay, no, that's not possible. I mean, I'm not saying it's never going to be possible, but I see little benefit in that, because
it just depends
maybe
on how
on
these tables become. I mean, I've got a client where their storage is one of the limiting factors of even working with the site, because it's like, I think it's like 8 or 9 gig. Phil, you'll know better because you complain about it a lot.
8 or 9 gig. Let's go for 178 or 179 gig.
So it's the actual file size is a lot, but the actual database is also very big, because they've just been running it for a long time and there's a lot of content. And so for me, in my mind, it just would seem more logical to split the stats off onto another smaller database, so they always stayed.
What would be the benefit? Because you'll still have the same volume of data to store and to backup
Well, no,
and
because
everything.
you won't be processing all of the database queries against one database. You'll be doing it against two.
Okay, so you don't mean a database. You mean a different server.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
primarily.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Database
possible.
server on another server.
Yeah, because you can have, a million
I see, the
databases
two on the
on
same
single
on the
server.
same
So if
one,
you're storing on, just a different database on the same server, it's no use. Yeah, like I feel it's something that may come on version 9, a year or 2 or 3 from now, because it's not impossible. I mean, honestly, it's not that much that's hard to do, but I've yet to see that many, sites that big, honestly. But yeah, it certainly can be done, and it's not major. It's going to be it needs more parameters and documentation and all of that.
And he just cleared out a few of his log files. He'd make plenty of room for it anyway. So I've never seen such a large log file in my life. Okay, I got 2 questions. So my questions
No, sorry,
are.
we don't have time for you, Phil.
Oh, sorry. Can you export to CSV? I saw you did printing, but
yeah, no, that's one of these features that will come later if really in demand. There's no, I don't.
Okay, a lot of my clients like to export it and then they shove it into Excel spreadsheets. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to know exactly what needs to be exported at the point. I mean, this I'm sure you can guess for something that's been out for a couple of weeks, officially at least. It's not the first priority, but it's obviously interesting. Yeah.
And the other question I've got is, I didn't see it. You've got a really nice bit where you can put in the IP of the admin so that you can exclude yourself from the stats.
Mm-hmm.
One feature that I thought would be nice, but you may already have it, is to exclude a user group. So you could exclude.
Yeah, that's the starting point. It's always like that. You have it's more flexible than that. Actually, what you do is in the rules where you define what you want to measure. It's actually the standard. The rules are the same in 4SEO and all our extensions. So you can say I want to track. You can have several rules measuring different things for like the blog, for instance, or whatever, or the shop. But that's one of the parameters only. So you can have different rules based on the language page are seen for different components. And if you go down to users, then you can say you should measure things for these particular groups, like administrators, whatever. So these are the groups that are included in the measurement, and do not run for these user groups. So you say, I don't want to measure super users and authors, whatever.
Right, brilliant. Yeah, it's going to be super users.
Random. So it's pretty flexible. And then you can only include specific addresses, or you can exclude some specific addresses. And then it goes down to, you can have on some pages the value of a custom field which say this page should not be measured, for instance. That sort of thing.
Right. You've got a guest set there. Why is the guest set? The one above. Next one up. Stop there. Why?
Sorry. Which one?
In the users, the first one, you got guest.
Yes.
Why guest?
Guests are non-logged in users.
Yes. So would you not want to track logged in users as well, like we're registered? Because they'd normally be normal users, whereas super admin wouldn't be.
So yeah, if you want to track both everybody, let's say you want to go public, that will track. And if you want to go only for like guest and registered, then you say guest and registered.
So really, you would do public, but don't track super user.
That's possible. If you want to do, it's really, you run for these users or you exclude these ones. You can do whatever you want. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to everybody excluding super users, yeah, it's going to be public, and then exclude the super users.
Yeah.
What I've done on my site is I've done a specific group. I created a group called No Analytics, and then I add people to the No Analytics group. So I measure everything public, everybody except the No Analytics group.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
That's just Joomla groups, so it's really up to you.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much. That's really, really,
Very
really.
welcome.
Oh, we got last one. Available through an API. Doubt very much.
I'm not sure. Yeah, the data. No, the data is not really well. It's so 4Analytics, just like all our extensions, are single-page applications, so they are feeding through an API, but it's an API that requires authorization, and you need to be logged in. So it's not impossible for somebody else to query it, but no, there's no outside API, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, that's what I meant. What about that nicely formatted report that you had? Maybe could you make that available through the API?
I'm not sure what you mean available through the API. The printed API, you mean, like the printed report I showed?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, let me Discard change. Okay, so if you come here, I didn't show that, but you have a print button here, and this opens the report in a separate. Oh no, sorry. I forgot to press the button. So back. If you're on a report page summary here, you click this button here. The printer. No, I'm not. This one here. Right here. You print this button, and this opens up the report here. Okay, and this is a URL. So it's like sometimes it's called like a magic link. So if you have this URL, then you have the report. You don't need to be logged in or anything. That's not exactly the thing, but again, there's no API to extract the raw data, the numbers.
Right.
This you can access with just the link. Well, it actually expires after the links expire after 30 days for privacy, but you just need the link.
Okay.
So you can share the link, you can do whatever you want with it. You can expire the link automatically. If somebody left the house, then maybe you don't want them to be able to view these links anymore. So yeah.
That's great. That's really, really good.
Olivier, what do you use for UI? I use Svelte. This is a JavaScript framework, and all my extensions for the last 5 years have been done with Svelte.
Thank you so much. I think that's really go on, Olivier.
Yeah, it really looks slick. I mean, what you're using for all your extensions it looks very nice.
Yeah.
And I guess it allows you also to use the same UI for different versions of Joomla, so you don't have to worry about the framework.
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't want too much into that, but if you look at these, they work the same in Joomla 3, 4, and 5, and 6, and probably whatever, because they are really decoupled from the Joomla framework and the Joomla user interface. We tend to focus on the Joomla framework for compatibility and so on, but in fact, it's always the UI that's the problem. And that's why I decided in 2020 to do away with the Joomla user interface framework and to use my own, so that I can use all of this works the same in Joomla 3. I still have quite a few clients using Joomla 3, and it works the same.
So this will work in Joomla 3?
Yeah, all our extensions work on Joomla 3, 4, and 5 exactly the same. You wouldn't see a difference.
Well, that's a real upset for all my Joomla 1 users.
Yeah. Okay. Joomla 3.9. You need that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's really exciting. And you're kidding, but I do have a Joomla 1.0 website still running strong.
Okay.
Really.
Yeah.
Not mine, but
I had a 1.5 until not so long ago.
yeah. It's you wouldn't believe how fast it is. It's amazingly fast. The Joomla 1.0 site.
Yeah. That's great. Brilliant. Thank you very much.